The Joker is Batman's arch nemesis, and let's face it, you all already know who he is. But the Joker's real name and who he really is something of a mystery. Though we have had origin stories in the past, including the new Joker film, in the canon for the main DC universe, we don't really know who he is. He's just an unnamed madman who is obsessed with Batman. Which is good, because knowing too much about the Joker would likely ruin his character. But some versions of the Joker, we are intimately aware of their pasts, as on occasion, members of the Batfamily have actually become the Joker. Now, this has happened either through choice, some sort of mind-altering chemicals, or just born out of tragedy-fueled insanity. But there have been several times when the Batfamily has become the very thing that they fight against. And this video is going to go over all of them. Now, when I say become the Joker, they have to fully become a version of the Joker, not just be exposed to some Joker toxin and turn into a laughing madman for a short time, because they're cured pretty quickly and it's not really becoming the Joker, it's just a bit of temporary insanity. And with that out of the way, let's get on with it. Martha Wayne. In the Flashpoint story, the Flash changes the past, and in doing so he changes all of DC's history. Which means that a lot of the superheroes get completely different origin stories. And in Gotham City, on the night of the mugging where Bruce Wayne's parents are shot, Bruce Wayne is shot instead and his parents survive. Now his father goes on to be a much more brutal and darker version of Batman, who uses a gun and doesn't mind killing people. While his mother goes insane from this tragedy and ends up becoming this timeline's version of the Joker. Now this is actually one of my favourite Batfamily's Jokers, as it just works perfectly. The Joker has often said that one bad day is all it takes to become insane, and where some turn and embrace the chaos, like the Joker and Martha Wayne did, others turn and embrace the order, such as Bruce and Thomas Wayne do. Batman and the Joker are basically two sides of the same coin. They had one bad day, and they could have turned left, or they could have turned right. And having both their origins be the same like this and mirror each other just really works for me, as I think it's just a great bit of storytelling. And of course, it creates a brilliant dynamic to their relationship, and explains why Batman can kill villains, but he refuses to kill the Joker, because in his mind, she is still his wife, and he loves her, and so he'll never kill her no matter what she does. And of course, when the Flash goes back and corrects the timeline, this version of the Joker is erased from history. Tim Drake. In one of the greatest DC animated films ever made, we see one of the best deaths of the Joker ever, followed by his resurrection. You see, the Joker kidnaps Tim Drake and tortures him until he thinks that he is the Joker's son. But that's not how he becomes the Joker. You see, Tim Drake then kills the Joker, but the Joker not only tortured him, but he also put a microchip in Tim Drake's head that rewrites Tim's DNA and his mind, turning him into the Joker. And what this means is that the Joker's mind and memories have a consciousness and take over Tim Drake's mind and body and can transform him into the Joker at will. Now this takes around 20 odd years for it to work because it's a very slow process. And to be fair, it doesn't really make much sense because how does the Joker know how to do any of this stuff, which is pretty impossible as science goes? That being said, it does make for a great movie. And so, the Tim Drake version of Robin ends up turning into the Joker, and as such knows all of Batman and Bruce Wayne's secrets, which allows the Joker to hurt Bruce Wayne in ways that he could never hurt him before. And he attacks the new Batman, as he's able to easily work out who it is by seeing who is closest to Bruce Wayne. And it is a great film, and possibly the best time that a Batfamily member has become the Joker. And of course, the Batman of the future is able to destroy the microchip, and thus this resets Tim Drake's DNA and mind, essentially killing the Joker once more. Again, scientifically speaking, doesn't really make much sense, but it is a very enjoyable watch. Batman. In the series, Dark Knight's Metal, we see a lot of alternative versions of Batman, one of which is the Batman who laughs. And this alternate universe's Batman kills the Joker, and in doing so he releases a powerful toxin that was trapped inside the Joker's body, and it infects this Batman and turns him into a bat version of the Joker. And as the Batman who laughs, his first evil act is to kill off the Batfamily, as they are the biggest threat to him. And he then systematically kills all of the heroes of the world, and then pretty much destroys the entire world itself, eventually finding his way to the main DC universe. and he's currently there fighting Batman on and off because he's just such a popular character and very entertaining to read about. And when I say he's killed the Batfamily, I mean he's killed Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Barbara Gordon, and Dick Grayson. It appears that Damian Wayne actually survives, and then he turns Damian into a sort of Joker dog, along with some other children, and they become a pack of Robins who are on dog leashes and are essentially a pack of attack animals for the Batman Who Laughs to sick on others. And though these aren't quite the Joker, as they're pretty much just semi-mindless trained animals at this point, they do still deserve a mention, as this is pretty much the closest that Damian Wayne has ever come to becoming the Joker. And in the main universe, Batman at one point actually has to team up with the Joker in order to fight the Batman Who Laughs. And the Joker decides that the only way Batman can beat him is if he becomes him. And so the Joker shoots himself with a trick gun in order to release the toxin that's trapped in his body and infect the main DC Batman. Now the Joker's life is saved by Alfred, even though Alfred wants to kill him, but Batman won't allow it. In fact, he won't even allow Alfred to cut off the Joker's oxygen so he'd essentially become brain dead. He won't let Alfred do this because he needs the Joker alive and healthy, because he needs him to fight the Batman Who Laughs, because the only way he's ever been able to beat him before was by teaming up with the Joker. Now, Batman does succumb to this toxin to a certain degree, and he does slowly start acting more and more like the Joker, but eventually he finds a cure, in the form of a blood transfusion from an alternate dimension Bruce Wayne. But he does still deserve to be mentioned, even though he doesn't fully become the Joker. And Batman also faces becoming the Joker in the game Batman Arkham Knight. After a blood transfusion from the Joker, Batman is infected with a toxin that is turning him into the Joker.
Untreated, the blood's gestated too long. It's altering them. They're becoming
Joker.
Now, there is no cure for it, and when Batman is exposed to Scarecrow's fear gas, it brings this toxin out in him, and he faces his worst fear, which is of course becoming the Joker. So this essentially means that the Joker has control of Batman's body, or at least Batman acts like the Joker.
Look at me! I'm amazing! And this body! I can't believe how strong it is!
Now, Batman is eventually able to overcome this condition by trapping the Joker consciousness inside of his mind. Now again, this is one of those stories that doesn't really make much sense, you just kind of have to go with it. But we do actually see what would happen if the Joker takes over Batman's body, and he pretty much kills all of his allies and burns Gotham to the ground. Again, he doesn't actually take over his body fully, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Dick Grayson. Now, personally, I was never a huge fan of this story, but in the comic, The Dark Knight Strikes Again, Dick Grayson and Batman have a falling out, and Grayson is fired by Batman for incompetence, cowardice, and not being able to cut the mustard, as Batman puts it. And being taken in by Batman, trained to be Robin, and then rejected like this and left on the street, leaves Grayson pretty messed up from it all. And it's because of this that he agrees to be put through radical gene therapy, and his DNA is altered to give him meta powers. And he has a healing factor that is even stronger than Deadpool's. Dick Grayson is able to survive almost anything at this point, from being set on fire to being shot and stabbed, and at one point he actually has his head chopped off, and he just grabs his head and puts it back on his body and is absolutely fine. And he actually chooses to become the Joker to get revenge on Batman for all the things that he did to him and the way he treated him, because he loved Batman, but Batman just treated him like a weapon and then cast him aside when he was sick of him. And in actuality, this is probably what would happen if you took a child in and trained him to become a weapon. I mean, it is going to screw the poor kid's mind up. Of course, Batman eventually defeats him by dropping him into a pool of lava that is conveniently located below the Batcave, and even his healing factor isn't able to survive that. And lastly, I should say that there is a fan theory that the Joker that we see in the Suicide Squad films is actually the Jason Todd Robin. And although I think this is an interesting idea, with Jason Todd growing up to become another Joker, it hasn't actually been confirmed by the films, and it is unlikely to be true. But I did think it was worth a mention, especially since it was actually this theory that inspired me to make this video in the first place. And that is every time that the Batfamily has turned into the Joker. Now, as I said, there are 1 or 2 times when people in the Batfamily get infected with a new Joker toxin, and for a few issues, or for some episodes in a show, or some time in a movie, they sort of become the Joker, or at least a light version of the Joker, basically laughing maniacally and going a bit mad. But this video is only concerned with the times they properly became the Joker. I mean, it's hard to define exactly what that is, but you know it when you see it. And I think my personal favourite out of these is the Tim Drake version, with Martha Wayne's version being a close second. But which one of these times is your personal favourite? And are there any other times that the Bat family members have become the Joker that you think should have been mentioned? Be sure to let us know in the comments, and I'd just like to say a quick thank you to those of you who made this video possible by donating to the Needle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.